One room can feel like a problem, because everything is exposed. The bed is right there. The sofa is right there. The desk is right there. The storage is right there. And when every part of your life sits in one open space, the room starts to feel smaller than it actually is. But the real issue is not always the size. The real issue is that the room has no boundaries. No private zone, no living zone, no work zone, no entry moment, no visual separation. Everything blends together. That is where one divider changes the entire room. Not because it builds a real wall, but because it teaches the room how to behave like an apartment. A good divider does more than split space. It creates privacy. It creates storage. It redirects movement. It hides what should not be seen first. And it makes one room feel like several rooms working together. That is why this divider turns one room into a whole apartment. At first, this room feels like one open box. The bed is visible from every angle. The sofa does not have a clear living zone. The desk feels like it belongs to whatever space is closest. And the storage is scattered because nothing has a proper home. This is the problem with many studio apartments, small bedrooms, and one-room layouts. The furniture may technically fit, but the room does not feel organized. There is no rhythm. There is no transition. There is no moment where one area ends and another begins. So the room feels like a bedroom, living room, office, and storage area all competing at once. That is why the first move is not buying more furniture. The first move is creating a boundary. And the divider becomes the tool that gives the room structure. The divider goes between the most private area and the most public area. That usually means between the bed and the living space. This is the most important placement. Because the bed is the one thing people usually want to feel protected. When the bed is exposed, the entire room feels personal. But when a divider sits between the bed and the rest of the room, the sleeping area starts to feel like a separate zone. Not a separate room yet, but a protected space. This is where the room begins to change. A folding screen can work. A curtain divider can work. A tall bookcase can work. An open shelving unit can work. Even a row of tall plants can work. The specific product matters less than the job it performs. The divider tells the eye, this side is private, that side is public. That one decision gives the room its first real structure. The mistake people make with dividers is choosing something too heavy. A solid divider can create privacy, but it can also make the room feel smaller. That is why an open divider is powerful. An open shelf, slatted screen, glass partition, or sheer curtain can separate the room without blocking all the light. It gives privacy without creating a cave. It allows the room to breathe. This is especially important when the room only has one window. If the divider blocks the light, the back of the room can feel dark. But if the divider filters the light, both zones still feel connected. That is the balance. You want separation, but you do not want the room to feel chopped in half. The best divider acts like a wall the room can still breathe through. That is why open shelving, curtain tracks, slatted wood panels, and translucent screens work so well. They create boundaries without stealing the air. Now the divider has to earn its floor space. In a small room, every large object needs more than one job. So the best divider is not only a divider. It is also storage. An open shelving divider can hold books, baskets, plants, folded blankets, small decor, chargers, office supplies, and everyday items. The lower shelves can hide clutter inside baskets. The upper shelves can stay open so the room still feels light. This is how the divider becomes part of the apartment system. It is not just blocking the view. It is solving the clutter. That changes the accounting of the room. A plain screen separates, but a shelving divider separates and stores. That means one product replaces two needs. A wall and a cabinet. That is the buying path here. Open shelving unit. Cube shelf. Tall bookcase. Storage baskets. Decorative bins. Small shelf lights. Plant baskets. This is where the room starts becoming more efficient. The divider is no longer decoration. It is infrastructure. Once the divider protects the private area, the sofa finally gets a job. The sofa becomes the center of the public side of the room. Instead of floating randomly, it faces away from the bed or sits with its back toward the divider. Now the living area feels intentional. This side of the divider becomes the place for guests, relaxing, watching television, reading, or eating. The room finally has a front stage and a back stage. The bed is no longer the first thing the room announces. The living zone becomes the first experience. A rug can anchor the sofa. A floor lamp can define the corner. A small coffee table can complete the zone. A console table behind the sofa can create another boundary. This is how a simple divider starts reshaping the whole room. It does not work alone. It gives every other piece of furniture a clearer role. The buying path here: compact sofa, area rug, coffee table, console table, floor lamp, storage ottoman, side table. The divider starts the transformation. The living zone completes the public side. Now the room needs a work zone. But a desk can ruin a one-room layout if it is placed carelessly. If the desk sits too close to the bed, the bedroom feels like an office. If it sits too close to the sofa, the living area feels like work. So the divider helps create a micro-office. The desk can sit along the divider, behind the divider, or on the public side, facing away from the sleeping zone. This gives work its own pocket. Not a full office, a pocket of focus. A slim desk works best. A ladder desk works well. A wall-mounted desk works if the room is extremely small. And a small task lamp makes the workspace feel separate even when it is only a few feet away from everything else. The buying path: slim desk, floating desk, ladder desk, desk lamp, cable management box, wall shelf, pegboard, foldable chair. This is how one room starts acting like a home, an office, and a bedroom without feeling chaotic. The divider gives work a place to belong. A divider creates the vertical boundary. But the floor needs boundaries too. That is where rugs come in. A rug under the sofa tells the eye, this is the living room. A rug beside or under the bed tells the eye, this is the sleeping zone. A runner near the kitchen or entry creates a pathway. Without rugs, every zone sits on the same floor and visually blends together. With rugs, the room starts reading like separate spaces. This is one of the most important small space tricks. Because a room does not need real walls to feel divided. It needs signals. The divider is one signal. The rug is another. Lighting is another. Furniture direction is another. When those signals line up, the room feels planned. The buying path here: living room rug, bedside rug, washable runner, rug pad, layered rugs, small entry rug. These pieces do not just decorate the floor. They draw the map of the apartment. Now the room needs mood separation. Because if every zone is lit by one overhead light, the room still feels like one box. The divider may separate the space physically, but lighting separates it emotionally. The sleeping zone needs soft warm light. The living zone needs comfortable ambient light. The desk zone needs focused task light. The entry or storage zone needs clear practical light. When each zone has its own light, the room starts to feel like different rooms. Not because the walls changed. Because the mood changed. A floor lamp near the sofa creates a living room feeling. A plug-in sconce near the bed creates a bedroom feeling. A desk lamp creates a work feeling. Small shelf lights can make the divider glow and feel intentional. This is where the apartment starts feeling designed instead of improvised. The buying path: floor lamp, plug-in wall sconce, LED strip lights, shelf lights, smart bulbs, desk lamp, motion lights. Lighting turns the divider from a physical object into part of the room's atmosphere. A divider can sometimes feel too hard, too obvious, too much like a barrier. That is why plants are useful. Plants soften the edge between zones. They make the divider feel less like a wall and more like part of the room. A tall plant beside the divider can blur the line between sleeping and living space. Trailing plants on open shelves can make the shelf feel lighter. A plant stand can create privacy without blocking the room. Even faux plants can work if the room does not get enough light. This is the difference between a room that feels divided and a room that feels designed. The boundary should be clear, but it should not feel harsh. Plants help the space feel natural. The buying path: tall floor plant, plant stand, hanging planter, trailing plant, faux tree, planter box, shelf plants. In a one-room apartment, plants can act like soft architecture. They divide without making the room feel smaller. Now the room feels completely different. The divider protects the bed. The living area has its own side. The desk becomes a micro-office. The rug maps the zones. The lighting separates the moods. The storage baskets hide clutter. The plants soften the boundary. And the whole room finally has flow. Nothing about the room got physically larger. But the experience changed. Now there is a private side. A public side. A work zone. A living zone. A sleeping zone. A storage wall. And a path through the space that actually makes sense. That is what a good divider does. It does not just split the room. It organizes the life inside the room. That is why this divider turns one room into a whole apartment. And that is the real lesson. A divider is not just something you place in a room. It is something you build the room around. Start with the zone you want to protect most. Usually, that is the bed. Then choose a divider that matches the job. Open shelving if you need storage. Curtains if you need flexibility. A folding screen if you need something movable. Plants if you want soft privacy. Then support the divider with rugs, lighting, furniture direction, and hidden storage. That is how one room starts feeling like a full apartment. This is Layout Lab. Same room, infinite looks.